You're listening to the Club Scene Podcast, powered by Energia, with Ger Burke, Darragh Frawley and Maurice Hartery.
Tough day on Saturday.
It is so relentless.
We've been involved in rugby over the years.
Will it get a suit?
Nah, I think it's bad form.
They'll be fine.
Clueless.
Oh God, this is going to be the day when it's all over. Second.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome along to the Club Scene Podcast, focusing on all things Energia, AIL and Club Rugby in general. In this week's pod, we'll be reviewing the round 14 games from last weekend, as well as looking ahead to the round 15 games which take place this weekend as we enter March. We'll have our Ace Clubs update in association with Cal Apparel. It's only taken 14 rounds and the hosts weren't a complete disgrace. And as always, we'll have the usual hot takes, poor predictions and slightly above average humour. But before we get to that, I would like to introduce my co-hosts. This man had a weekend away without the kids in London with herself to make up for going on the piss with the lads on Valentine's Day. Normal order restored in the Hartery household, perhaps looking for brownie points with the Cheltenham Festival next week. Always scheming is our Thomond Under-20s Most Improved Player 2007 and our favourite thing in the wing, Mr. Maurice Hartery. All right, geese, how was the weekend in London?
It was lovely.
Lovely.
Drank my way around London. That's the way to do it. And you're right, because Cheltenham next week is going to be more the same.
Look for marriage and relationship advice from Maurice Hartery on our Patreon page. Anyways, this man is on
Did
top.
you stay overnight, Matt?
No, flew in and out in the one day. Right job.
Oh, cheap.
Boy,
8 o'clock flight from Shannon. Was in London for 10:30. Had a coffee and some breakfast just to kill the time, because you know yourself, you're looking at your watch and
Kill the time, we were there for about 7 hours.
What's acceptable to start drinking? So about 11:45, it was showtime, and we just went at it then. And then the car picked us up at 8 o'clock, brought us out to the airport, and I was at home in bed at 12:30.
Outstanding. This man is on top form, and why wouldn't he be, with a 7th Munster Schools Senior Cup final to look forward to after
you got lucky, Matt.
after a 54
absolutely not
margin
lucky.
over their arch rivals. The only thing more impressive with
Mile High Club.
I'll try that again. I actually had dirty weekend in your intro when I said I'd take it out. This man is on top form, and why wouldn't he be, with a 7th Munster School Senior Cup final to look forward to after a 54-point winning margin over their arch rivals. The only thing more impressive than that was when he put away 55-point bottles of cider on Thursday night. Imodium, anyone, the self-proclaimed favourite, Mr. Ger Burke. Burkey, congratulations. A man of many talents and a very, very well done even on getting to the final. But good weekend, good couple of days soaking it all in. Hard to enjoy it, I suppose, when it's on the go all the time.
Yeah, it was. So what? We kind of made a point of enjoying the day or the evening, starting the following day, because the month between the games, when you win your first round, the semi-final qualifier, it's long. It's a long month, and then you have 2 weeks when we knew we were playing Christians, where we just to listen to a lot of external noise and shite, and just so it was good to get play and get the win, and enjoyable, yeah.
Indeed, the final in 2.5 or 3 weeks away. It's rumour has it Maurice Hartery is going to do a day trip to Cork and come back in the same night as well.
Who's supporting, Matt?
He might go down on the City Link.
I couldn't give a flying fuck, Burkey.
Like, do you know what I mean? His alma mater versus one of his best pals' team, and he turned around and says he couldn't give a fuck.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's people who have, whether you're a long time listener or an in or out, I think everyone would go, that actually suits Maurice Hartery down to the ground. Anyways, where you find us on email, theclubscenepod@gmail.com, on X, Instagram and TikTok, the Club Scene Podcast. We're on all good podcast apps, we're on iTunes, so be sure to leave a rating and subscribe to us. As always, we are once again delighted to say that this season's podcast is powered by Energia. Make sure to follow at Energia Ireland on Instagram and TikTok for more details. Energia has a great new offer for Club Scene Podcast listeners. Switch to Energia for your home energy, and you could save up to €666 a year, plus you'll get €100 cash back. It's a win-win. Offer is available for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply. That's energia.ie/rugby smart offer. Gents, round 14 at the weekend did not disappoint across the 5 divisions. We have much to get through. We will start in Division 1A, where Lansdowne had a massive 45 points to 19 win over Nina Ormond to move back in to the top four. Young Munsters were beaten on the road. Old Belvedere with a massive home win, 19 points to 15 win over the Cookies in Ollie Campbell Park. Terranure College post Carlos Spencer had a 52 points to 22 win over Ballinhinch in Lakelands Park. They themselves moved back into the top four. Clontarf back to winning ways with a 48 points to 28 win. Making the journey across Dublin against UCD in the UCD Bowl. They sit in second in the table. And St. Mary's College with a resounding 57 points to 19 win on the road in Temple Hill against Cork Constitution. Burkey, we will start in Tipperary, where Lansdowne were 45 points to 19 winners over Nina Ormond in New Ormond Park. With results over the course of the afternoon, the win means that they move back into the top four on 42 points. Jake O'Kelly, Derek Corcoran and Conor O'Shaughnessy, the try scores for Nina Ormond. Tom Roach with a brace, Joan Bukes, Matt Healy, Hugo McLaughlin, Killian Redmond and Jack Matthews securing 5 points for Declan Fassbender's side. Difficult afternoon even for Nina Ormond, but Lansdowne getting a much needed 5 points, and with results going their way, they're back in the top four.
Yeah, absolutely. Spoke about only controlling what you could control, and top four shifting and changing and whatnot. They had a job to go to Nina and get 5, and I think they would have sent their stall out that there was nothing but 5. Nina haven't got to win yet this season, the month after back. It's, trying to see if it's actually going to come this year for them. I hope they don't go unbeaten for what it's worth. They're a good bunch down there. Or say, I hope they don't go the season without getting a win, but it's becoming tough for them. Lansdowne showed no mercy and were absolutely ruthless. And, we always say league tables don't lie. They're in top four because they deserve to be. And in fairness to them, they're... We've spoken last year and earlier in the year that, geez, when you see them play on certain weeks, you couldn't understand how they're not there with 3-4 rounds to go. Their fate very much in their own hands, and would fancy their chances. What I love about this year, it's not only that teams are in the top four, and you say Con and Cookies sit outside it. There's a lot of talk that if Cookies were to get in, that they could be dark horse for it. If Lansdowne get in, it kind of seems to be a year where nobody's really sticking their collar to mass who's going to win it.
Yeah, I agree entirely.
Which for the neutral fan or the 1A fan is exciting. Sure, other people you have your opinions, of course. But it probably is as open as it's ever been. It's great.
Indeed, it has. Unless you ask Mars Hartree where he go, I hope no one wins.
Yeah, he just doesn't care.
I hope they all draw.
Fairness to give Nina a shout out. They're doing an awful lot of things right, as we said, and coming off historic year last year, they also had an historic week there last week, where their under 20 side reached the Donald Walsh final for the first time by beating UCT.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
In the Mardyke as well, which is phenomenal going for such a small town club at under 20 levels that we compete with the likes of UCC. So a massive upset, but kudos must go to them.
Yeah, indeed. They do play Garryowen in the under 20s. Donald Walsh, that's the Munster final on Saturday afternoon in Thomond Park. Well worth getting along to if you can. So as we said, Lansdowne sit in 4th position in the playoffs. Nina Ormond rooted to the bottom. They will play their rugby in Division 1B next season. Old Belvedere were 19 points to 15 winners over Young Munster in Ollie Campbell Park. Morgan Meredith, Jack Keating and Captain Callum Downing. The try scores for Quintin O'Neill's men. Shane O'Leary, Jake O'Riordan. The try scores for Ger Slattery's side. Old Belvedere, Burkey, we spoke, and in all fairness to Morris, he said before in the preview last week that this was going to be a very tricky game. I was speaking to a couple of Cookies fans, Paco Fitz and Eddie is involved in the management there as well, and we kind of came to the conclusion that Belvedere are definitely a side that are at home in Division 1A. The point, Burkey, that I want to kind of bring up and discuss with you is that in the course of the season, we've seen Young Munster gather 9 try bonus points. The only 2 games that they glaringly haven't is the 2 Belvedere games. They beat them in Tom Clifford Park back in December, I think it was, and they were beaten on Saturday afternoon. But it just goes to show you, as you said, if you're not on it for 80 minutes, you aren't going to get the win. Young Munsters take 1 point and Belvedere take 4 points. As well, we send our well wishes to Bailey Falloon. He was injured in the warm-up. I didn't hear much afterwards, but let's hope the injury isn't as bad as first feared, because he's been talismanic for the Cookies. But a big win again for Old Belvedere, Burkey, and not everyone, we say sometimes that people inside the group, people outside the group rather, wouldn't have said that this win would come. But not a lot of people overly surprised with Belvedere getting this win against the high flying young Munsters.
Oh, like I've seen them play on streams once or twice, but I've seen them play a couple of times. I've seen video, but up front, down in Con and up there, they're a good side, and they're more than at home in 1A. Deserve to be where they are. And I think what they're really doing at the moment is they're turning Ollie Campbell Park into a bit of a fortress and place where it's not acceptable for them to lose, which is paramount to staying in 1A. And Morris often refers to, your home form being key. And in this league, it's everything. Excuse me, really. And in fairness to them, they're looking after business on that front. And I think they're going to crawl up the table as much as they can. They'll finish the season very positive, and they're going to be one hell of a team to look at next year. It's not beyond the realms possibility that they get top 4. Unlikely, but I think they're more than acquitting themselves as a team that belong in this division, which is more than a lot of teams that get do in their first year of promotion up to Division 1A.
Indeed, it is. The win there for Belvedere means that they're in 7th position. They're on 34 points. They're 8 points behind Lansdowne in 4th, so not beyond the realms of possibility, but more importantly, they're 13 points ahead of UCD and 1 point ahead of Ballynahinch in 8th with 4 games to go. Terranure College were 52 points to 22 winners over Ballynahinch in Lakelands Park. Chris Cosgrove, Ed Kelly with a brace, Aaron Egan, Max Russell, Griffin Culver, Sean Rigney and Craig Adams, the try scores. Chris Cosgrove with 6 conversions, Pierce Crowe, Paul Kerr and Chris Gibson, the try scores for Adam Craig's men. 28 points to 15 at half-time, Burkey. We saw the announcement last week that Carlos Spencer would depart for family reasons. We wish him the very best in that. He will stay on as a consultant until the end of the season from obviously back in New Zealand. But what a response from Terranure. There was an awful lot of noise and WhatsApp groups and whatnot that we didn't prescribe to, and obviously Terranure released a statement. They are where they are. There could have been a lot of people saying where would they go from here, but scoring over 50 points against Ballynahinch, their second time doing that this season. They did it in Ballymacarn Park as well. It's a huge statement of intent, and they're back to 3rd in the table with Hinch slipping to 8.
Yeah, the Carlos Spencer, I suppose, signing at the start of the year, you really brought a lot of positive limelight on the league and on Terranure, and they went off to an absolute flyer, winning the Senior Cup, and their peculiar way of playing, I suppose, in Irish weather, if anything, under Carlos, certainly gathered a lot of headlines, and they started off well, and then they went through a mixed patch of form. But from what I gather, he's missed a couple of games already anyway, with being away, so they've managed without him. But yeah, in anything, you control what you can control. Like Carlos stepping away is unfortunate for everyone involved, and it didn't work out the way I suppose kind of the entire country would have hoped. Really, having a name like that associated with the league would be nothing but positive. But Terranure, they have to move on. They have to get on with things, and like that, there's not our league to be decided, and they're very much reminding anyone that thought they weren't still in contention that they very much are. That's a phenomenal way to put one's news line to bed and create your own by putting 50 points on a very good Ballynahinch team this season, and I just think that's emphatic. Unfortunately, we have to go up there and face the Backlash and Hinch this week, but sure, look, we'll get to that. Yeah, it's typical, but yeah, that's just incredible. Like, to be fair, when Terranure are on it, Christ, they're on it. And obviously on Saturday was one of those days. Weather kind of calmed down, rain wasn't as heavy around the country, we're not so completely dictated by conditions, thank God. And just yeah, looks like they really opened up and backed themselves.
Yeah, incredible. When you think as well that Fintan Gunn, John McKee and Joshua Kenny, who've all played Energia All-Ireland League Rugby this season, were away with Leinster at the weekend to see what players can come back in as well. But yeah, 52 points to 22.
Christ, that Leinster jersey is awful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a Ryanair uniform staff on a plane. Yeah, it's
like so it's like you're like doing your TY work experience at Ryanair. Your Rangers fucking 3rd kit.
You're back in 3rd position. Hinch are back in 8th. They dropped 8 on 33 points. 9 points outside the top four. We had Adam Craig and Clayton Milligan on a couple of weeks back. It will need to be a picture perfect performance. As Burkey said, that is against Cork Constitution. You get to the time where neither side really can afford to lose there in terms of the top four, which we'll get to in a few moments' time. The defending champions, Clontarf, for 48 points to 28 winners over UCD in the UCD Bowl. Emma McMahon's try scorers through Luca Hassett, Oren Handley, Tom Reardon and Jack Spencer with the bonus point try, Paddy Clancy and Dara Gilborn with 2 conversions each, Conor Fahey, a Dylan Donnell hat-trick from a combined distance of about 8 metres, Peter Maher, Niall Smith and Dylan O'Grady and Paul Deeney, the try scorers for Andy Wood's men. 24 points to 14 at half-time. Berkey, Tarf negotiated a bit of a difficult patch with defeats to Terranure and Cork Constitution. We did see some of the highlights on TikTok and Instagram, courtesy of BF Sports Analysis, and they played some real running rugby in the bowl, which we're accustomed to UCD seeing, but they seem to have steadied the ship. They're now 1 point behind St. Mary's College, and scoring 48 points away from home will be just what the doctor ordered, and Tarf look to be back close to their best at least.
Yeah, like there's no such thing as steady the ship in Clontarf. It's to get them back to within 1 point to the top of the table, like, you know what I mean? They're a juggernaut, and they're a group of men and players that I know each other ridiculously well. There's a level of cohesion and continuity in that group amongst coaches and players that isn't in any other club in the country, certainly not in 1A. Outside of probably Tony Smead, from a coach's point of view, you know, there've been a group that have been together way too long, and their standards are extremely high, and 2 losses in a row, and I think 2 underperformances in a row really will be what would have gotten to them, and there was no doubt ever that there was going to be a backlash. Unfortunately for UCD, it came at their expense, but yeah, the highlights, they were impressive. You know, they just seemed to be dominant across the board. It wasn't just obviously Dylan Dunn and Luke Hattrick that says it all. They do what they do up front. They're as I said, they're a juggernaut. And man, I said, like, when you see them up front, they're set piece experts. Like, they really are. But there was a combination as well that they played some really nice rugby, and I thought that's what they did in the AL final last year. There was a real rounded performance from them, to be fair, you know. And when they get to that level, where it's not just reliant on scrum and maul, which will give them a shot, if not win them most games, you know, when they bring the rest with it, it's hard to know how to beat them, if I'm being honest.
Indeed, and a very, very interesting points raised there. So Clontarf, with that win, sit in second in the table. UCD sit in ninth. They are 12 points behind Ballynahinch. They're 19 points ahead of Nino Ormond. St. Mary's College were 57 points to 19 winners over Cork Constitution in Temple Hill. Sean Condon, Adam Mara and Louis Can try scores for Cork Constitution. Mick O'Gara, Rory Shields with a brace of penalty tries. Zach Hopkins, Josh Gimblett, Ethan Baxter, Greg Jones and Connor Pearce completing the scoring for St. Mary's College. This was the feature live game on Irish Rugby Plus. Myself and Dan Mooney were on it on Saturday afternoon. It was an absolute masterclass from St. Mary's College from minute one. A real season performance. Dan said in commentary it was like St. Mary's had been in the Energia All-Ireland League Division 1A for a number of years. People forget it's just their second season, but stellar performances right the way from 1 through 20. St. Mary's full value for the win, but a difficult day all around for Con and Burkey. Again, to the point you said, if you're not on it for the 80 minutes, you certainly aren't going to win the game, and St. Mary's College were in no mood to let up.
No, we weren't on it, but I don't want to sound like I'm trying to take anything away from Mary's. You know, there's a point in every season, I think, when you're an up-and-coming group and you want to challenge for leagues, that, you know, there are certain places you go and you lay down statements. Canaway was always one. That was long before I arrived in the place. And, you know, when we were going well once upon a time under Mike Prendergast, you know, if you won in Con, it was a statement that you were serious about winning the league, or if you're contending for a league, you know, winning in Tarf away, things this, they came down fully ready to embrace that challenge and put us to the sword. They were magnificent in every aspect of the game. They didn't have a weak part to their game, and that's the most impressive thing. They're so well conditioned. They're so familiar with each other. They're just so comfortable. They just play it's their urgency. They played 100 miles an hour in both defence and attack. If they do make an error in D, it's so quickly rectified, and they leave a hole open so quick to close it. And they just want to play ball at 100 miles an hour, and they can be direct, they can be physical, they can offload, but they can move the ball around, they can kick pass. Their maul is decent, and yeah, they're just, I think it's the most open the AL has ever been, but I would put my neck on ninth. I think these boys are favourites and sitting top of the table, deservedly so. They were top. They were just, yeah. It was humbling for us, and they were superb. I can't be put any other way.
No, very well said. I do remember Lansdowne last year going down with a statement win at the same venue, and going on a run. And I actually thought at the time that Lansdowne were in pole position, but that semi-final defeat against Clontarf. But yes, Division 1A is absolutely ruthless. And St. Mary's College, 57 points to 19 winners means that they sit top of the table. Cork Constitution dropped to 5th with 4 games to go. The fixtures this weekend in Division 1A of the Energia All-Ireland League, all 2:30 p.m. kickoffs. Ballinhinch welcome Cork Constitution to Ballymacarn Park. What a game that's going to be. Clontarf and Old Belvedere clash in Castle Avenue. Lansdowne and New Munsters in the Aviva Stadium back pitch. Nino Ormond, Terranure College in New Ormond Park, and St. Mary's College UCD in Templeville Road. Moss, our Ace of Clubs update and game of the weeks, please.
Yeah. So our update, you alluded to it earlier on, Frawley. The hosts are back. Well, by back I mean average, but I suppose that's to be expected. So this week there were 7 people tied on 23 points in third. I'm not even going to list them out. Second, Padraig Nesbitt.
You're heart and soul into this, and you're not listening to them out, Mass, you bastard.
Okay, go on. So Sean Healy, St. Mary's, Jack Devaney, Nina, Barry Traynor, Graysons, John Ryan Shannon, Neil Tracy, Terranure, Ian Murphy Sunday as well, Darrell Maxwell, City of Armagh. Then in second, Padraig Nesbitt from UL Bowes, 24, and Kieran O'Dwyer from Bruff, 25. So it's a good week for them in terms of the hosts. I had 18. Burkey and Frawley both had 16 each.
Oh, that's poor for me.
So that leaves the overall leaderboard. The top, it'll be up anyway, but the top 3 still Dean Fanning from Garryowen, 247, Colm O'Donnell, Homeless, 248, and Ruan MacDonald in Monkstown, 253. So it's very, very tight up there. The hosts then, Burkey, 225, 34th, Frawley, 50th, 220, and I'm 101st with 198.
What position am I, Matt?
34th.
34th.
Not too bad.
28 points off top, am I?
Yeah.
I can just do frantic typing on the calculator there.
Can fly up to Monkston there and have a word with you.
By the way, Frawls, I know I actually meant to say it at the start, but this is my piece now, so I'm going to give it. I'm going to give it. You're not going to be too happy. If you're wondering why the 3 of us are sitting here having a conversation again, you're going fucking second week in a row that they've no guests. We asked a few clubs to come on, and this has happened a few times this season, and they don't want to come on because they don't want to raise their head above the parapet. And this goes for every club who denied this. We're trying to fucking promote the IL and get clubs on. And you have clubs going, no, because we don't want to give anyone any ammunition. Just fucking get on with it. Like, what are we asking? Where's your favourite place for a pint? Oh, the another club might get ratty. It's not your clubhouse. It's fucking madness.
This is
yeah. I think you'll be putting off a lot better than what you're saying, Mas. But your point is not it. Well, I'm telling you, man, as somebody involved in, like, I was coaching with the Cookies, and I said involved, and I'm obviously coaching with Condas here, and I said involved. I'm telling you, people will use anything you say as motivation, and they're right to, of course, but why wouldn't they? It's their prerogative, it's their club, they're entitled to. You know what I mean? And that's why people wonder, like, why I won't give predictions and whatever, because that's not fair on the club I'm involved in, the players and the coaches and Porter Heart and Son thing for me to be given any motivation or anything at all, or any sort of, I don't know what the word is, like, to the opposition, because people do, Mass. I've had things said to me that are, oh, you said this. I was like, Jesus, yeah, but I didn't mean it in the way you're saying it. And like,
I
it's,
know, but like Burkey, I suppose like Eddie Farr comes on here a couple of weeks ago, we're slagging the arse off him down the club, right? And he goes, "We haven't lost in 2 years. We lose back-to-back matches at home." After he does it, but like the reality is, we didn't lose those matches because he said that and gave motivation to another club. Like,
yeah, I
you know
know,
what
I
I
hear
mean?
you, and I agree with you, but it's just like, it's an Irish thing, I think,
Yeah,
That's what I have to say. I love Tony Smead. He comes on every year and just chats away, and is a guy willing to promote the league, like, you know what I mean? And you're right, like, we people can't, on one hand, say the league doesn't get enough coverage or their club doesn't get enough coverage, and then not partake in it. Or I go back to, remember, Fraudy, that thing that was done on TG Cahir about the history of the AIL a few years
Yeah, the
ago.
Energia 30, 2021.
And there was one club who were asked umpteen times to get involved in the documentary, refused, and then tore the thing apart on social media, saying that there was no coverage of them. You know what I mean? It's that, so like, yeah, look, I just think that people need to accept what we do for what it is. It's not, it's a light-hearted promotion of the league and individual clubs and players. It's not hardcore journalism, fucking far from it, if anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that. And anyone who thinks, well, we haven't been asked, get in touch. If there's clubs out there that we haven't, maybe thought to ask in the weeks gone by.
No, very well said. So if you take just a mixture of Morris's rant and then Berkey's nice vocabulary in the way he's put it, we would love to speak to people on it as well. And I think we're going to get social media, Tom, to get Bron from Michael Collins when he's taking a list of all the people speaking to the enemy, and we're going to Photoshop Morris's head on that. But anyways, no, all for the love of the energy.
and now that rant is over, our
That was
the
actually
club,
as long as the guest segment anyway. So
yeah, exactly. The club shop is back open for Carl Apparel. So if you do want to get any stash, and all proceeds go to the Irish Motor Neuron Disease Association, jump on and buy some.
Absolutely, 100%, and a huge thanks to Cal Apparel. So, Moss, you've given us the leaderboard. All right, so
Just to be clear, if you don't want to wear it, that's okay. But please support a wonderful, wonderful organization.
Just buy it and then put it up on Vinted.
Yeah. And make your money back some way. Morris Hartree thinks. Games of the week, please, Morris.
Games of the week. I just picked all these myself because on Monday on social media, Tom had a little accident, so he's out of action at the moment.
Did he shit himself?
Fuck, I nearly did last week. He might have. He came off his bike. So I don't know. Tom, maybe did you shit yourself after you came off your bike? I don't know.
Or before.
Yeah. So hopefully not. So the game of the week is Lansdowne Young Monsters, and then I've picked Tarf, Belvo, and Hinch Con.
3 draws, Berkey, just in case anybody has any ammunition to what we could say Ballinhinch are not in our list of enemies.
2 draws and Hinch to win by 700. 3 draws, 3 draws.
These are seismic games, boss. Lansdowne Cookies, for me, whoever loses that is probably not out of the running, but seriously up against it. Clontarf Belvedere will be a sensational game in Castle Avenue. I'm actually at that myself.
What?
Clontarf.
Just are going up.
No, just going up. Day out in the capital. Clontarf.
Woohoo!
To narrowly beat. There's a tour up there. Clontarf.
What are you talking about?
And Belvedere. Yeah, we'll give the people what they want, and then we'll discuss.
I bet you it's cheaper to go to London than.
Yeah, you might be right. Clontarf to beat Belvedere by no more than 4 points. Very close game. Ballinhinch Cork Constitution. It's there's going to be a serious backlash from both sides. Con will, as Burkey said, have been very disappointed by their own standards at the weekend, taking on the way from Mary's. Con to win on the road in Ballynahinch there. But again, a close game. And the Lansdowne Munsters game. Berkey, you probably know better than me. Cookies have a habit of pulling off wins on that back pitch more often than not in the last kind of 5-6 years. I know they haven't been consistent in winning up there, but I think they have it in them to do it. But at the same time, Lansdowne have been absolutely excellent in a lot of games at home this season. So I will pick my ace of clubs. I think the Cookies might do it in Dublin at the weekend. Moss, who are you taking?
Jesus Christ, that was torture.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
I'll make it nice and quick, Burkey. I'm going to
As you
go
always
with
do, man.
Con to win up north to backlash. As I said, there's probably a double backlash, but I think Con to keep their playoff hopes alive. I think Lansdowne, what was it, 40-35 in Tom Clifford Park earlier on in the year. I think Lansdowne will get the double over Cookies, and I think Tarf will beat Bellevue at home by more than 4 points. France.
Interesting. Make sure to enter our ace of clubs before we will say Friday evening in the event of any Friday night games. There won't be any Friday night games because they're playing Wales before 1:20 on Saturday in the event of any early kickoffs, and you could be with a chance of winning beanies and who knows, even a whole set of jerseys. The shop is still open for Cal Apparel, as Mara said. All proceeds of sales go to the MNT Association in Ireland, so a well worthy cause. And as Berkey said, you don't have to wear it.
Before we move on and people stop listening when we get to Division 2, can I give a shout out for us?
Go on, absolutely.
You know, people only listen to me anyway, so
Still have Division 1B now, you know that.
Crosshaven J1s yesterday beat Youghal away in Youghal in the muck and rain to finish an undefeated season in Division 2 and make an absolutely roaring return to Division 1 of the Munster Junior League. I just want to congratulate Rona Dundee, as he's better known, head coach, and all the coaches and staff with him, Richard McCarthy, that in the background, staff with Shell Physio, all top people, Murdo Connell, forwards coach, whoever else I'm leaving out. I apologise, Richie Daly, director of rugby, and Adam Kent as captain, who took an absolute slapper off the ground last night while jumping around the trophy. And it's all over social media today, which made the fear of missing out on a massive session a little bit easier today in school, I have to say. They're on a day 2 rollover up in
set fire to
town.
the van in Dublin and they lost the Six Nations trophy. Is that what you're alluding to? The Six Nations trophy is gone. Was that your man from Crosshaven?
No, he was jumping around doing championis out in the container and lost his balance and absolutely hammered off the ground with about 60 cameras facing him. It's all over Instagram today. It's brilliant.
Send it to us.
But they're on we put it up on our thing, really.
Yeah.
They're on a day 2 rollover up in Bandon Road up in Cork at the moment, I think. Which is just love it.
Outstanding. Monday night day 2. Nothing better than it, Jerry, is there?
There's nothing better. A Monday club day 2 rollover after winning a trophy is just what it's all about. And yeah, look, Crosshaven Rugby Club, very close to my own heart, full of just incredibly good people, and I couldn't be happier for all involved.
Indeed, very well said. And yeah, who knows, day 3 and 4 and long into that. So making a welcome return to Munster J1 next season. Those were the preview and review of Division 1A in the Energia All-Ireland League. In Division 1B, Blackrock College were 27 points to 12 winners over City of Armagh in the Palace grounds on Saturday afternoon. What a win that was for them. Dublin University ended a 33-match winning streak for Estonians, winning 29 points to 12 on the road in Shaw's Bridge. Naas had a huge win against Queen's University, 46 points to 28. Johnny Murphy's men hugely impressive on the day. Gary Owen pulled off an incredible away win, 24 points to 19 against league leaders Old Wesley in Energia Park on Saturday afternoon. And Highfield took the spoils in the Cork Derby, 21 points to 15 winners over UCC in the Mardyke. Berkey, we will start In the Mardyke, Jason Ahern, Mark Hetherington, the try scores for College, Dara Fitzgerald, Jamie Shannon, and James Brugger, the try scores for James Cronin's men. 7 points apiece at half time. We spoke about, UCC having players away with the Irish 20s, Highfield being favourites going into the game. This had all the hallmarks of a quality derby, and it delivered with Highfield winning by 6 points. And with that win, they are firmly in contention for playoffs as they sit in fourth place.
Yeah, I suppose it was a funny one in the sense that Highfield are the ones that were heavy favourites, which is mad, like thinking the difference a year can make. For such a fixture, for them to be such heavy favourites going in, but it was a lot closer than expected, I suppose. Not by either supporters of either club or people involved in either team, but in wider circles, it was much closer than people expected. But you see, still had a very decent side out. I think the two Novaks, one of the Dogbos, are in the back row. I'm pretty sure Ben O'Connor was at full back. Gene Creamery at 13, so there's plenty of talent there. Still a good mix of young lads like Mark Hetherington and co that have settled in lovely to senior rugby and Division 1B this year, becoming kind of week in, week out players for them. Job done for Highfield. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Refused to see is the message I kind of heard this morning. One or two Highfield lads getting a bit annoyed by that. Not as I say, not that they felt they were kind of in control throughout, but you're never going to get a fair analysis when you ask fans of either side, really. So, believe it or not.
Yes, we will indeed. Highfield in fourth position, UCC dropped to eighth on 31 points. They are level with Naas, who we'll get to in a few moments' time. Gary Owen at a 24 points to 19 win over league leaders Old Wesley.
Outlandish.
In Old Wesley and Energia Park. Paulie Farrell, Stephen Smith and Ethan Black, the try scores for Morgan Lennon's men. Des Fitzgerald, JJ O'Neill, Daniel O'Connell and Fionn Rossum with the bonus point try for Mike Sherry's Chargers. 19 points to 14 at half time. I know we do a lot of laughing and joking, lads. Division 1B, you would literally it'd be easier to pick rabbits out of a hat than people winning games here. And well done to people who did manage to pick this for a win. But Old Wesley's lead cut to 3 points at the top of the table now, Burkey. Huge win for Gary Owen on the road, and they must get plaudits for that. But Old Wesley going through a little bit of a rocky patch, having had in around, I think it was a 7 or 9 point lead. We'll get mathematician Morris to come in that in a few moments' time. But huge win for Gary Owen. Still a bit to go, 7 points to the playoffs. But not a lot of people outside of their group, as we said, with other results, would have thought that they would have pulled off a win of that magnitude against the leaders on Saturday in Dublin.
Yeah, it's interesting, kind of similar tactics from both. That Wesley lure you in, making you think that they want to win the league, but they actually don't. And Gary Owen lure you in, making you think they're fucking useless, but they're not. And then come out and produce results to prove the otherwise from both scenarios.
Yeah, people wonder why they don't want to come on and skip that. But
the pressure's on for us, I suppose. And when you the thing is, when you sit top of the table, or you're up towards top and you're a team that's in form, you're gonna get everyone at their best because people are nervous, especially when you've won and racked up some of the results they did in the first 9 rounds. You meet teams at their best because everyone's afraid if they're not, they're gonna get a hiding. So, and also as well, when you beat a team at the top, it can be a turning point for your season, or it's such a huge galvanizing result. So it tends to be that you end up having way harder fixtures. There's no gimmies whatsoever when you are sitting top of the table and so comfortably like they were. Like, so in fairness to them, they're getting it tough every single week. But yeah, just another massive result for Gary Owen. Gary Owen's issue is just consistency and backing it up week to week. They seem to be able to beat any of the big teams and outperform anyone on any given day, but it's the fact that stringing a full block together is the issue for them.
Yeah, you look at Gary Owen, Burkey, there, it was actually a massive win for them. And I know Gary Owen are going, yeah, it was a massive win. We're 7 points outside the playoffs. I actually look at the other way and I go, they went up there and picked up 5 points. If they didn't get those 5 points, they're 1 point ahead of Naas in 9th place.
Well, that's what I'm saying, Mass. It's a win to galvanise your season. in more ways than one. Like, we need to win, but also, well, if we can do it up here, we can do it anywhere.
Yeah, 100%. And they're like you said, they look to be way better than ninth, but they're just so inconsistent in terms of Wesley, lads. Look, I have great time for Morgan, but we've seen this story with Wesley so many times. It's like they look so good all year long, and then the pressure really comes on. You know, the last 4 or 5 games of the season, and it just doesn't happen for them. And I'm not saying that's the case this season, but
They're
like,
saying there's a chance.
yeah, I mean, you go to Trinity last week, and let's be honest about it, they're well beaten. And
Yeah.
then you play Gary Owen at home this week, who are in a relegation battle, really. Like, let's be honest about it. Whether Gary Owen probably won't like that, but before the game, they were in a relegation battle, and you lose and you pick up 1 point. And then they play in Estonians this week. And all of a sudden, if they don't win this week, you're going, what the fuck is going on? Like,
It's
you know?
it's a mad one though, isn't it? Like I'm for my troubles, I'm a Liverpool fan, and again, we're this is no disrespect to Wesley, but they've been absolutely incredible. Like some of the wins they've had this season have been absolutely incredible. On the road, at home, stealing it, great, running it, like every which way and type of winning a game. And when it comes to the home straight, it just seems like they've been picked off. Now, I do think Trinity are going to win the league. That's not none against Wesley. I think Trinity have just been peaking at the right time. We've had Tony Smeed on. They're in a rich vein of form. They have a lot of guys to come back in from the 20s. I think Estonians haven't lost the weekend, which we'll get to in a few minutes' time. But is there anything, lads, that you would see? Like, Burkey, did you ever feel massive pressure when it was coming in? Granted, if it was a Limerick Derby or a cup final or anything like that, but coming into the home straight with the cookies as a player or a coach, even with Con last season, do you feel it ramp up when you do come into kind of springtime?
Yeah, we were never probably top coming into spring. I remember one year it was a 12. Yeah, we were top at Christmas, and it was the year, there was no top four. And Mary's came down after Christmas and put us to the sword. And yeah, like I think I'm not sure if they knocked us off top that day or they did or maybe the first time. But I remember every week after that was just you were afraid to lose. And eventually we did, and I think we finished second or third in the end. But we finished third because Tarver went on our result when we played Mary's last day of the season up there.
Yeah, that was the
Um,
2012. That was the 2012 season. Mark
yeah.
Sexton scored twice late.
And guess poor people wondering that's before they brought in the new format of the league. Like, we played them in January and played them again last. There was no kind of rhyme or reason to the fixtures back then, but it was. Yeah, I do remember that, and like that, we actually used to kind of talk about it. It was brutal. Like, there was no sense of freedom going out to play. Like, it was about not losing rather than winning.
Yeah, indeed. Well, it is still in Old Wesley's hands, and they are still a quality outfit. It's just going to be very interesting to see. Estonians do visit them this weekend. 3 points the gap between themselves and Trinity, and you certainly can't take your eyes off the top of the table as well as the bottom. Nace were 46 points to 28 winners over Queen's University in 4-0. Derry Lennon, Charlie Sheridan, Jack Sheridan, Donald Conroy with a brace, Paddy Taylor, Ty Dooley, and Owen Walsh, the try scorers for Johnny Murphy's men. Henry Walker with a brace, Tom Brigg and James McKillop with the 4 try for Queens, which means they get a bonus point. It was 27 points to 21 at half time. Queens now 16 points from safety. It looks, for all intents and purposes, like they'll be playing the rugby in Division 2A. This was a game, Burkey and Moss coming in it as well, that Naas had to win. They won by 5 points. If Queens won, they would have faced an uphill task, a battle rather, but the loss means that they look like they're consigned to Division 2A next year, but a huge win for Naas, and their focus now will be trying to get as high up the table because there's only 5 points between themselves and City of Armagh.
Yeah, massive, absolutely huge win for Naas. It was basically, like you said, Frawley, they had to do it. Unfortunately, look, we don't like see anyone relegated. It looks like the end of the road for Queens. unless a miracle is just not going to happen. But like I'll highlight how important the victory was for Naas for you, Burkey. Okay, their last 4 games: away to Highfield, home to Trinity, away to Wesley, home to Instonians.
Tough.
And they won.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a must-win. It really was a must-win because I'm not saying they're relegated in a relegation dogfight. Anything can happen in those games. You win games you don't think you're going to win, but like that's the top 4 they're playing. Last 4 games of the season.
I must commend them, Moss. They've played 14 games. They've lost 12. You know what I mean? And they've won 1, 2, but like they've picked up 5 losing bonus points. You know what I mean? Like they are trying, especially I think in the last couple of weeks they've really given it everything they have to try and rally this part of the season. You know, UCC were lucky to get out of there. Like
Yeah,
they've fought tooth and nail. But they're probably just got outclassed in that division.
yeah.
Yeah, indeed. Well, the win, as we said, for Naas means that they sit in 9th position on 31 points, tied with UCC after their loss to Highfield at the weekend. Queen sit in 10th, 16 points, which are still mathematically possible, but highly unlikely to that end. Instonians saw their 33-match home winning streak come to an abrupt end, with Trinity getting 5 points on the road. Bradley McNamara and Mark Mayers, the try scorers for Paul Pritchard's men. Josh Eagleson with a conversion. Alex Finley, Matty Lynch, Davy Colbert and Paul McConkey securing 5 points on the road for Tony Smead's side. 7 points to 5 at half time in favour of Trinity. Instonians, Burkey, for context, had won 31 of the 33 games at home with try bonus points. It's resounding. I mean, there were huge away wins, seismic away wins across the divisions. And this is one that will live long in the memory for Trinity. Instonians' record was never going to last forever. They've been absolutely outstanding, and they will have a huge part to play in the playoffs this season, you would imagine. But huge credit must go to Trinity and Tony Smead's men. They look to be coming right as we enter springtime.
Yeah, you've got to nail it already. They're peaking at the right time. It's funny. You go back a couple of weeks and you go to 70, 65 minutes on the clock against Gary Owens. You're kind of going, where's this? Where's their season headed? And next minute they put off an outrageous comeback, play some ridiculous rugby, and a couple of weeks later, and a couple of results later, here they are, where they're sitting in second, 3 points off Wesley, and they seem to be the informed team coming down the home stretch. And that's while missing the Irish 20s, which is bizarre.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. But if ever there was a team to just go and not just win, but win by the 17-point margin with 5 points, Instonians, as we said, will have a big say in the top 4, but Trinity will as well, as they breathe down the necks of Wesley ahead of around 15 games. So Trinity sitting in second on 49, Instonians in third on 44. Who knows, that could even be a semi-final in the Division 1B playoffs come April time. City of Armagh were beaten 27 points to 12 by Blackrock College at home in the Palace grounds. Johnny Morton and Owen O'Kane, the try scores for Chris Parker's men, who was caught very well by his lovely wife for his surprise 40th. So Chris Parker, an absolute gent, and has done an incredible job at City of Armagh. Yeah, Dara Farrell, Jack Ringrose, and Brian Coakley with 2 tries for James Blaney's men. 13 points to nil. Blackrock College led at half time. 27-12 it finishes. Huge win in the context, Moss, on this. You saw, as you rightly said, Blackrock picking up 5 points on the road there, going to 32 points. They're 12 points outside the top 4, but a loss there would have meant that they would have been in 9th position. City of Armagh did drop a place after Gary Owens win to 36 points, but Blackrock being 9 points behind City of Armagh prior to kickoff, they're now 4 points behind. So a huge afternoon for the Stradbrook outfit.
Yeah, massive win for them. A lovely surprise for Chris Parker after the match. A horror surprise for him, I suppose, during the match. But like you said, it's getting real tight down there at the bottom. Like, I mean, I wouldn't say the top four is done and dusted, but like you go from fifth down to ninth. You're Gary on 37, Armagh 36, Black Rock now because of that 5-0 match points difference against Armagh, 32, 4 points behind Armagh, UCC 31, Naas 31. It is extremely, extremely tight down there. And unfortunately for City of Armagh at the moment, they're a team that have gone on a real poor run of form. They've won one game since the 13th of December, since the 6th of December, sorry.
The Estonians game.
No, it was the UCC at home. So they beat UCC at home and picked up 5 match points. That's the only game they've won since they beat UCC away on the 6th of December. So that is a real worrying run of form that Armagh are in. I think Frawls have a lot of injuries. I think you mentioned
do,
that. A lot of ACLs as well, actually.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, Black Rock then have won 3 of their last 4. They've picked up 15 points out of the last 20 points, and all of a sudden a team that were looking kind of maybe a small bit cut adrift in ninth have closed that gap up, and it's all to play for now.
Indeed, it is. You look at some of the names on that Black Rock team sheet. John Ford, formerly of Cork Constitution, back in and in a fine vein of form as well. Kieran Mangan in the centre. Dan Squires as well. Tim Corkery, formerly UCD. James Birthday Fortune. There is a lot of players there, and we did speak, and I know Burkey was messing about it at the start of the year where everyone tipped Black Rock to potentially make that next step. You wouldn't put it beyond the realms of possibility that they would go on a run and potentially break into that top 4. Results would have to go their way. But a big win on the road for Blackrock College means that they are sitting in sixth, and time will tell whether or not they can go any bit higher. The fixtures this weekend in Division 1B, Saturday the 7th of March, all 2:30 p.m. kickoffs. Dublin University welcome UCC to College Park. Garryowen welcome Blackrock College to Doyle. Highfield and Naas clash in Woodley Park. What a game that was on the final day of the season last year, and how barely half a season can change. And Old Wesley welcome Estonians to Energia Park, with Queens and City of Armagh clashing in an Ulster derby in Dublin. Moss, our race clubs and game of the week.
So this league obviously is batshit crazy the last couple of weeks, so good luck calling this. I think everyone's just come down to my level. That's why I kind of look a bit better. Old Wesley and Estonians in Energia Park, Blackrock Garryowen, and Trinity UCC.
Oh, Trinity to beat UCC for me. Old Wesley to beat Estonians, and Garryowen and Blackrock. Oh my God, I've absolutely no idea. Garryowen winning well in Wesley last week. Yeah, I think Garryowen might just do the business at home. Who you taking, Burkey, between Trinity and UCC?
Gotta go Trinity, don't you?
Garryowen or Blackrock?
Where's that on, Limerick?
Doyle, yeah.
I'll go Garryowen. I don't know to make a fool of me.
And Old Wesley Estonians?
I'm going to back Wesley.
3 home wins for Burkey. Moss, Trinity or UCC?
Yeah.
Trinity or UCC?
You'd have to go with Trinity there, yeah.
Garryowen, Blackrock?
It's an interesting one. I wouldn't be surprised if this one went either way. Genuinely, I could pick either, but I'll go at home. And I know Munster on the week off this week. Does that mean all their players on the week off as well? Anyone know that?
There's a couple of players gone to Fuerteventura, I understand.
That might change my pick, all right. I'll say Garryowen for now, but that might change.
And Old Wesley Estonians?
I'm after giving out about them, giving them their team talk. But I expect them to come out firing, and I think Wesley are going to beat Estonians.
Give us a score, Moss. Give the people what they want. Give us a score line.
34-28.
34-28. So a good 11 points to 9 win for Wesley there at the weekend on Saturday. Time will tell. Make sure to enter our race of clubs before 1:30 this Saturday, the 7th of March. Moving to Division 2 of the Energia All-Ireland League. The results: Ballymena had a 16 points to 10 win. Huge win over Shannon in Eaton Park. Barnhall took one step closer to Division 1B of the Energia All-Ireland League. 28 points to 14 winners over Banbridge in Rifle Park. Dungannon staged Roy the Rovers comeback to win 33 points to 31 against Cashel in Stevenson Park to keep their home semi-final play on track. Corinthians had a 38 points to 27 win over Old Crescent in Craigs to keep the heat on the top four. And Greystones had a huge 36 points to 26 win over Wanderers in Dr. Hickey Park. Moss Division 2A, as all the divisions rather in this time of the year, so much at play. We will take the top four to begin with in terms of the results. Barnhall with a 28 points to 14 win over Banbridge means that they could wrap up the title this week. They would have won it only for Dungannon. Dungannon's outrageous comeback, 19 points. Cashel were ahead at one stage, but Dungannon came back to win 33 points to 31. So the win for Barnhall means, as we said, one step closer. Dungannon look like they will have a home semi-final as it stands with Shannon's loss. And Banbridge with the loss there, they're 12 points behind Old Crescent with 4 games to go, with Cashel 17 points ahead of Banbridge and 5 points ahead of Crescent with 4 games to go. So real big movements in Barnhall within touching distance now of the title.
Yeah, look, job done, you think, for Barnhall going up there. That was a potential banana skin, with Banbridge fighting for their lives. And when the winning post is in sight, like it is for Barnhall, can you... it's kind of a weird dynamic because you've seen Galwegians kind of slip off a bit into. They're still winning, but not as dominant as they were. It's just ultimately, you're going to win the league. It's a matter of time. So to get over the line there and pick up 5 points is a great testament to everyone involved. They go to Crescent this weekend. Could wrap up the league there. Will wrap it up pretty soon anyway. In terms of Banbridge, like you said, it's looking very difficult for them now. 12 points behind, 4 games left. It would take a massive turn up in form for the season for them to get out of trouble. Unfortunately, it looks like their race is run. Dungannon Cashel, I actually spoke to someone from Cashel today in terms of that, and I heard, well, we saw some collapses this week now, and this might have been right up there only for Bective to pull off one of the greatest losses of all times, I think, which we'll get to in 2C. But Cashel were 20 odd points to 7 up, really, really comfortable, playing all the rugby, troubling Dungannon. It was particularly out wide. Looked like it was going to be a massive win for them, massive win for Shannon as well. And just stopped playing. I think, tried to get over the line. Dungannon then came back into it. Their 10 started kicking the corner. Their maul is unbelievably dangerous. Got a few maul tries and got over the line very, very late. Cash would be absolutely sick because it would have been some bus journey home. Look, they picked up 2 points to extend their lead over Crescent, but it could have been and probably should have been so much more. But look, you have to take your hat off to Dungannon sticking in there and winning the game the way they did. A magnificent victory for them, which really, really boosts their home playoff semi-final hopes after the result in Ballymena.
Indeed, it does. Andrew McGregor, Jacob Clark, James Gamble, Tony Gribben, and Mervyn Brown, the try scores for Johnny Gillespie's Dungannon. Marcel Stryden with a hat-trick. Timothy Townsend and Alan Flannery, the try scores for Ray Maloney's Cashel. Banbridge scores Dean Hayes and Michael Cromie. Barnhall's bonus point tries coming from Carl Duff, Shane Mallon in sensational form, Dan Murphy and Connor Duggan. So as we said, Barnhall can, if results go their way, win the league this Saturday coming in Crescent. Dungannon are currently 6 points ahead of a Shannon side who were beaten Moss 16 points to 10 by Ballymena in Eaton Park. Callum Musto and James McLean, the try scores for Ballymena, Neil Moylett and Cian McCann, the try scores for Shannon. That game had ramifications at both the top and bottom of the table because Galway Corinthians were 38 points to 27 winners over Old Crescent. That game played in Craigs, and Greystones 36 points to 26 win over Wanderers. So Moss, obviously, excuse me, when we're looking at the table here, Greystones win means that they move 11 points ahead of Old Crescent. Corinthians win means that they're now 2 points behind Wanderers. Shannon lose a little bit of ground on Dungannon, 6 points with 4 games to go to overturn that potential home semi-final advantage. But at the same time, Wanderers and Corinthians now have Shannon in their eye line because there's only 5 points separating third from fifth, and 8 points separating third from sixth. So a lot to digest there. But take it from Shannon's point of view and Wanderers, and then we can move to Greystones and Ballymena after that.
Yeah, it was always going to be a tough place to go for Shannon this weekend. A potential banana skin is probably is probably offensive to Ballymena. I looked at their results there over the last. I think they've lost once actually since Christmas. You talk about you love teams drawing lives in stand over Christmas, Frawley.
Yes,
but since then. Ballymena have come out. They've won 4 of the last 5, and all of a sudden they were second last, and they were looking really, really, really in danger with Banbridge at the bottom. And now they lie. What is it? 4 points outside fourth to playoffs, and they are well in the hunt there. Look, it was disappointing loss for Shannon. Because the whole top half of that table, with the exception of Barnall, is getting very congested. And we talked a couple of weeks ago about Shannon and Dungannon playing for a home semi-final. Now it actually, it's wide open, the playoffs. It's absolutely wide open. Like Greystones in 7th are 5 points behind 4th. So it is really... a minefield down there. We talked about Greystones last week, and this was potentially there. They had to win to stay in touch. They did. They picked up 5 points as well, which is massive, and limited to Wanderers just to picking up 1 point. And Corinthians moving the game to Craigs. They did what they had to do against Crescent, picked up 5 as well. Crescent picking up 1 for a try bonus. And that division now is very, very congested.
Indeed it is. Crescent picking up a losing bonus point, a try bonus point, excuse me, against Galway Corinthians means that they're 12 points ahead of Banbridge. They're 5 points ahead of Cashel, and there's, as Moss said, it is incredibly congested on that. For all the talk, Moss, and we'll get to Division 2B in a few moments' time and 2C with the restructuring. A win for Greystones at the weekend means, you said they needed to win to get out of it. They've now won, and they're 5 points behind Wanderers with 4 games to go. It's just remarkable.
Yeah, it's remarkable, and like that whole bottom half of that, like I said, it's going to be a fascinating end to see. I'm even just looking at the fixtures here. Like Shannon obviously played Dungannon this week, this weekend. It will be a big game, but you just look at Greystones. Like they go to Corinthians, they have to play Ballymena, they have to play Dungannon. So all those teams are going to play each other now. Dungannon, Shannon, Wanderers, Corinthians, Greystones, they play all 4. So anything's going to happen there over the next 4 weeks. What is going on in Burkey's house?
Morris Hartree is a big fan of Ellie Goulding when anything can happen. Yeah, I think Burkey's gone for a walk in a wind tunnel. But the results, again, in Division 2A, as we said, Banbridge within Barnall within touching distance of the title with a 28 points to 14 win over Banbridge. Dungannon with the Royal Rovers come back 33-31. Looks like they've got a home semi-final in their sights. Corinthians win over Old Crescent has kept them firmly in touch with the top 4. Greystones win 36 points to 26 over Wanderers, close the gap, which means they're 5 points behind the playoffs. And Banbridge at the bottom, Crescent currently occupying the relegation playoff spot. Pick a winner for the top 4. Maybe we might start doing score predictions for Ace of Clubs. But yeah, Division 2A, those were the results from round 14. The fixtures this weekend: Cashel welcome Banbridge to Spafield. Galway Corinthians and Greystone Slash in Corinthian Park, Old Crescent and Barnhall in Takumi Park, Shannon Dungannon in Thomond Park, and Wanderers Ballymena in Marion Road. Massa race the clubs and game of the week, please.
Yeah, I could have gone numerous different directions, obviously, for this. And that's something I need to talk to you about, actually. But I went for Shannon Dungannon game of the week, and I went for Cashel Brembridge down the opposite end for the other game. I think maybe moving forward, I think I might go the relevant games. I think I'm going to stop limiting now and up the ante with after this week for the last block of games.
You saucy minx. Sorry, there
Yeah.
wasn't. So, what are the games of the week?
Shannon Dungannon and Cashel Brembridge.
Oh, Cashel's home form, by their own admission, is not up to scratch.
Well,
Brembridge-
not by their own admission. By fact, it's
Yeah.
absolutely dreadful.
More by Morris is ranting.
Yeah.
What the fuck has gone on in Cashin?
Oh, it's so nice to see you awake, Burkey. Welcome back.
Cashel.
Excuse me, I've been away.
Cashel.
if you're
No, it's
facing
just Division 2.
difficulties-
It's Division 2.
No, don't get me
Cashel-
wrong, it's boring the bejesus out of me.
Cashel.
How do people last as long?
Cashel to do the business at home to Banbridge on Saturday, and the Shannon Dungannon game is going to be very interesting. I think Shannon at home. Is the Munster Senior Cup final on Saturday week. Saturday week, yeah. Yeah, it's a huge opportunity for Shannon there to close the gap in Dungannon. In terms of that home semi-final, to get back up to have the ability to get back up to 1B with Barnhall win the league. So I think Dungannon will come down full of confidence after that second half performance against Cashel at home in Stevenson Park. But I think Shannon will go back to basics, and I think they'll be able to grind out a win at home. Moss, who are you taking between Cashel and Banbridge?
Yeah, I think. I've been given out about their home form, so it's a bit ironic, but I do think Cashel will have enough to see off Banbridge at home. And Shannon Dungannon is going to be very interesting. I think Dungannon are probably good at what Shannon maybe struggled with a small bit in terms of maul and up front. But I still think Shannon might sneak it at home.
Indeed. Burkey, Cashel or Banbridge in Spafield?
Cashel.
And Shannon or Dungannon in Thomond Park?
I was able to get Shannon results wrong, but yeah, I'm going to back Shannon.
There you have it. Our Ace of Clubs will be up online by the time you're listening to this. So make sure to enter before 1:30 on Saturday. Moving to Division.
It's actually, they're all 2:30, so there's...
Are they?
Yeah, I checked.
Okay, fair enough. Ireland play Wales on Friday night, so that would make sense. Into the clubhouse then for what are we talking? Scotland, France? Oh, that'd be a lovely couple of
Lovely
seasons
day, isn't it?
on Saturday afternoon. The old clubhouse giving back to the local economy in Division 2B. UL Bows were 35 points to 28 winners over Clogher Valley on the UL 4G pitch. Enniscorthy back to winning ways, a sensational 34 points. 34 points to 24, over Rainey in Allcast Park. Navan had a 38 points to 10 win over Buccaneers in Ballyrees. Gold super win for Navan there. And Malone hit over the half century, 52 points to 31 winners over Skerries in home Patrick. Galwegians had the bragging rights in the Connacht Derby out west, 19 points to 0. They won on the road in Hamilton Park. And much like Barnhall Moss, they look all but confirmed in Division 2A of the Energia All-Ireland League next season. We will take that and Clogher Valley and UL Bows result. Seismic result for the top three teams. UL Bows winning 35 points to 28. They've been picking up 5 points. Clogher Valley picking up 1. Clogher Valley's lead cut to 1 point. Galwegians now 16 points ahead of the league, and Rainey's loss at the weekend means that they are on 39 points. So it looks like fourth place is up for grabs, and as you were, UL Bows and Clogher Valley fighting it out for that home semi-final to potentially make their way out of the restructuring back to Division 2A.
Yeah, like you said, I suppose we'll start at the top. Galwegians, they've been running amok in the league really the last 2 weeks, maybe not as comfortable. 19 points scored both weeks. win both games, 19-0, 19-14. Job done, move on, like you said, and looks like the league is pretty much sewn up. In terms of
Ryan Smith, Andrew Sherlock, sorry, and Dylan Keane, the try scores for Galwegians there out west, in what was a very tight and frantic encounter. But as you said, Galwegians and the UL Bows Clore Valley game, sorry.
Yeah, that was very important for Bows to win in terms of trying to get that home semi-final. They were delighted with the win. It's funny that they come away. I was speaking to someone from Bows today. They come away, you get 5 points at home, and you're here against your closest rivals. You're trying to get a home semi-final. And he said the overriding feeling was disappointment, because I think Clore Valley scored last play of the game to pick up 2 points, which kept them 1 point ahead of Bows in the league table. It was a massive swing when you consider 30 seconds earlier, Bows were going to be ahead of them in that hunt for the all-important home semi-final. So it was a bit sickening for Bows, but look, nonetheless, it's a really, really good win. They are 50 points behind in points difference, 1 point behind, 50 points behind in points difference. So that, I think, is going to come right down to the wire between those two sides. You would maybe even give Bows the advantage, considering Clore Valley do have to go to Galwegians. Possibly the day Galwegians are going to get the trophy as well. So, even though they're a point behind, you probably fancy Bows to maybe get that home semi-finals.
Morris optimistic permutations, Hartree on that front. Sean Quirk and Jordan Mills both with a brace. Mark Edwards making waves with UL Bows since joining. Cian Casey with 5 conversions. Tane Hare, Carl Botwell, Michael Botwell, and Josh Coyle with that all-important try late in the day, which could be seismic in terms of the season. Moss, as we said, Rainey beaten by Enniscorthy at the weekend in Allcast Park means that they're on 39 points. They're now 12 points behind UL Bows, 13 behind Clore Valley. And Malone's win there, we take those two together. Malone's win, scoring 52 points away from home against Skerries and Home Patrick, coupled with Rainey's loss to Enniscorthy, means that the playoffs are wide open. Sligo, as we said, 19-0. They're on 37 points. They're still only 2 points outside the playoffs. But a huge morale-boosting win for Enniscorthy. We saw Tony Ryan back in the colours of Enniscorthy, and they win there. But that 4th place is going to be very, very interesting. And with 4 games to go, it very much seems like a 3-horse race.
Yeah, it was a result, I suppose, I did not see coming in the slightest. You'd Rainey, and they were absolutely flying. I was just quickly looking there.
They took Carling off the tap in Hattrick Park.
Yeah,
no surprise there that they've
they had actually won 5 games in a row. Were in an unbelievable run of form to get themselves into the top 4. And then they go to Enniscorthy, with nothing to play for, who've won 1 game all year, and Enniscorthy absolutely pump them. Like, let's be honest about it. It was not a result I saw coming, but fair play to Enniscorthy. I've brought it up every week about what's driving these teams down the bottom. There obviously is something driving Enniscorthy and Navan, as we saw. So fair play to those 2 clubs, and a really, really good win for Enniscorthy. And like you said, that coupled with Malone's loss, we'll say, Malone's win away to Skerries, by scoring 50 points, has meant that the hunt for the 4th place now, like you said, is wide open. You've Rainey 39, Malone 38, Sligo 37. It's going to be between those 3 to get into the 4th spot, and it's going to be interesting, to say the least.
Indeed, it is. Enniscorthy's try scores: Nick Doyle, Ivan Jacob, Tom Ryan, James Doyle, and Fiacra Hura, and Jim McCartney with a brace for Rainey, and Owen McGuckin with their 3rd try means that Rainey didn't come out of the game with anything, but they sit in 4th position, as Moss just said.
I think a good indication of this league, Frawls, though, realistically, is look at the points difference of it. So Galwegians plus 350, 349, Clore Valley plus 166, Bows 118, and everyone else is minus. And I think that's probably a fair reflection of where we are. Now, someone has to get fourth, and it's going to be close between those two clubs. And then you're in one-off games, and anything can happen.
Exactly, exactly. The table doesn't lie, and neither do Mars Archery's statistics unless they're wrong. Skerry's try scorers: Mikey Sherlock, John Healy, Darren McEnany, and Robbie Gallagher, Ben Gibson, Tane Hotham, Cameron McCoy, Davy McMaster, Dan Kerr, Ricky Greenwood with 2, and Callum Knox, completing the try scoring for Malone. Malone sitting in 5th in the table, as we said. Sligo slipped to 6th. A word, Moss, and Navan and Buccaneers had a very, very tough season last season. Navan coming out on top, 38 points to 10. Mark Cohen, Gary Faulkner, Jack Timmins, Shane Walsh, Will Finnegan, and Harry Hester, the try scorers for Navan Bucks, through Sean Glennon and Sam Meacham. Again, just to touch on the point we spoke about, the restructuring. Difficult for some teams. It looks like Buccaneers are in that kind of middle ground where they are safe, you would imagine, from automatic relegation. Sorry, not automatic relegation, from finishing close to the bottom, but to get motivated and to keep playing for those 4 games ahead of the restructuring. It is a difficult sell sometimes with respect to players, but Navan full value for the win, and a huge win moves them up to 8th, and they're now 8 points behind Bucks in 7th.
Yeah, I as a club, I'm delighted for Navan that they picked up a victory at the weekend. Like you said, it's been a really, really tough season for them. They're a great club, right? They're a great rugby club first and foremost, and it's their 100-year anniversary. And up until Christmas, before Christmas, they hadn't won a game at home. And I think in your 100-year anniversary, picking up a few wins at home when the season ultimately now is meaningless, but in terms of as a club as a whole, winning home games in your 100th anniversary, I think, is an important thing for the club. So they've picked up 2 wins after Christmas, so hats off to them in regards to that. They have 2 more. Would you be surprised if they won both? Probably not. Like you look, they play Malone and Enniscorthy at home. And I just think it would be, regardless of what else has gone on this year with the restructuring and it not really mattering with the position they are on the table, I do think it's important for them to try and pick up as many home wins and give the fans, the supporters that come out every week in their 100-year anniversary, that was a good game. I have a few points and go home happy. I think that's important for a club in the year they're in.
Absolutely, 100%, and very well said. And Ballyreesk is quite the venue to go for a few beverages, be alcoholic or non-alcoholic. For a Saturday afternoon, you could do much worse. So that is the review of Division 2B. The fixtures this weekend: Saturday, March 7th in Division 2B. See in just one moment's time, as my screen has got away from me. Buccaneers welcome Enniscorthy to Dewberry Park. Clore Valley and Sligo clash in the Cran and 5 Mile Town. Malone and Galwegians in Gibson Park. Rainey and UL Bows in Hattrick Park. And Skerry's Navan in Home Patrick. Moss, our race of clubs and game of the week, please.
I've gone Clore Valley, Sligo, and then I've gone Rainey, UL Bows. I have to go with those up at the top, really, I suppose.
They're going to be 2 cracking games. I think UL Bows had a big win over Rainey in UL in the reverse fixture. They have to win there if they want to get a home semi-final. I think Rainey know that they also have to win if they want to keep 4th place, but I think UL Bows might just have too much there. Clore Valley and Sligo is a very interesting one. Sligo, obviously beaten by Galwegians last week, had 1 or 2 disappointing results. The Bows fixture comes to mind on the road, but I think that they will certainly give Clore Valley a lot to contend with on Saturday afternoon. But Clore Valley to get the win for me there, Mass. Who are you taking between Clore Valley and Sligo?
I think Clore Valley will beat Sligo at home, to be honest with you. Sligo, I've been just so up and down. So they've got on massive good runs. They've also got on really poor runs. They seem to be on a poor run this way. They are on a poor run this time. Last 3 in a row. I think Clore Valley might sneak it. And in terms of Rainey and Bows, I'm actually going to go. I made a comment there. I said the top 3 are. Someone has to get 4th. I think the top 3, if you look at their points difference and how far ahead they are, Galwegians aside, I think they're better teams than the other teams in the division, if I'm being bluntly honest. So I think Bows will go to Rainey and win.
Burkey, Bows or Rainey in Hattrick Park?
Ooh. Hmm. I will go Buzz.
Clore Valley or Sligo in the Cran and 5 Mile Town?
Hmm. No idea. Not a Buzz notion. Who's home?
Clore Valley.
Yeah, I thought about it at home for no other reason than at home.
Yes. That is a review and preview of Division 2B. Much at play at the top of the table here as Galwegians look to be within touching distance of Division 2A. Clore Valley, Ulbos, Rainey, Malone and Sligo all in contention for those playoffs. And as Morris Hartree, aka Ellie Goulding, says, anything can happen. Moving to Division 2C of the Energia All-Ireland League, or more affectionately known as Pro D2 by a number of coaches in the league. Ballyclare with an unbelievable 45
I've never seen
points.
anything like it.
I've never seen anything like it in my life. Ballyclare 45, Bective Rangers 42 in the clock. And Thomond had a huge win, 15 points to 12 over Belfast Harlequins in Derrimore Park. Rumour has it the bus is still on the way back from the north. Clonmel continued their sensational form, 35 points to 11 winners over Monkstown in Ard Guiha. Dolphin were 22 points to 3 winners over Bruff in Virgin Media Park. And Malahide were beaten at home 24 points to 15 by Middleton. Huge result at the bottom of the table in Division 2C for Middleton and Estuary Road on Saturday afternoon. Moss, we will start with the only place to start is actually the Bective result. 45 points to 42. They beat Bective Rangers. Jacob Scarlett, Joel McBride, Captain Fantastic with a hat trick. Alex Dara, Dave Gillespie, and Jack Milton. James Creighton with 5 conversions. Bective Rangers, God damn it, Chuck, scores not submitted by club. Bective led 35 points to 19 at halftime. Moss, I know you have the lowdown on this. A lot of respect between these two clubs. Just a fantastic advert for the game. 45-42, all for a tenner in the clocking.
Yeah. Where do
Come
you
on,
start?
Moss, get excited.
Where do you start? I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. I was in London.
On a day trip for those that just
checking
zoom in
the
now,
Any
yeah.
Score app. Bective 35-0 up after 24 minutes. 35-0 up after 24 minutes.
Ballyclare must have had
And
oranges or something at half time, Moss.
somehow contrived to lose. I don't know. Like, I have never heard of a comeback like it in AIL.
Burkey, is it the biggest? Is 35-0 at half time? Is that the biggest
Wasn't it
comeback?
25 minutes? Wasn't half time?
Sorry, 35-0 down after 25 minutes. Is that the biggest comeback we've seen in Energia All-Ireland League history?
It's certainly the biggest I can think of off the top of my head, yeah.
It's outrageous.
But what a game of rugby, like, in fairness. What was it, 87 points?
Good
I
maths.
suppose when you start throwing the ball around like that, Ballyclare had nothing to lose at that stage. And obviously things were just sticking. Like, they got it back to 35-19, as you said, Frawls at half time. Then I think Bective went 42-19 ahead again. And, like, I just don't know what to say. Like, Chuck sent me a lowdown of it saying it was the best comeback he's ever seen. One of the best matches.
And he was at the Ryder Cup in the 80s as well.
Yeah, exactly. And he said, like, that can be your opening line of the podcast. And I said, Chuck, the only opening line of the podcast is Bective still haven't won on a grass pitch, and they can't even do it when they're 35 points ahead. Like,
yeah, absolute madness. But 87 points and a great evening had by all. Yeah, 45-42, 87 points.
Do you think they got the cheese spread out at half time?
There's something going on anyway. Like, it's madness.
Like at half time, like, there was definitely a couple of slices of blue cheese and another glass of redhead, I'd say.
Yeah, that is actually, it's normally C point over the cheese and crackers, but maybe early grass celebrations. Maybe they were
on the one once you go past Cashel, like.
Belfast Harlequins were beaten 15 points to 12 by Thomond on the road in Derrimore Park. Mark Glover, Stephen Weir, the try scores for Quins. Ryan O'Donovan Ahern with a brace for Thomond. Moss, a bad injury for Evan Maher. We send our well wishes to him. A nasty leg injury. He's not going to play any part in the season, so that overshadowing the result. But a huge win for Thomond on the road, and it piles a lot of pressure on Belfast Harlequins now. They are 7 points ahead of Malahide in ninth after Middleton's win, which we'll get to in a few moments' time.
Yeah, big win for Thomond after, I suppose, losing 2 games. I know I was slagging it earlier on, two games back to back at home. So to get back to winning ways, very important. And I suppose winning a game in Belfast is never easy. Winning a game, and look, you can attest to this more than I can. When you see the severity of an injury that happened to your teammate, it's very difficult to, it is difficult to get back up and actually play a game after it's happened. So all the best to Evan. Look, he's coaching against Burkey in a senior cup final in a couple of weeks. I think he's still in Belfast after getting surgery yesterday. So all the best for his recovery, and we'll see him back down in Limerick soon enough, hopefully.
Absolutely.
I'm surprised you even knew that since you didn't give a fuck about the game.
Yeah. on that front, Thomond sitting in third on 49 points, 5 points behind Clonmel at the top of the table. As you said, Belfast Harlequins in ninth. They are 7 points, ahead of Malahide in 10th, and they are 5 points behind Middleton. Clonmel Moss had a 35 points to 11 win over Monkstown and Ardguia. Freddie Davies with a hat-trick, Brandon Delicato, Keith Melbourne securing bonus points for Pat O'Connor's side. Rob Wynn, the sole try scorer for Monkstown, and Matt Stapleton with 2 penalties. Clonmel, a couple of people have said it, that they've been obviously the most consistent team, top of the table, but that they've certainly been the best side on both sides of the ball as well. And the table doesn't really lie. Bective have scored more points than them, as have Monkstown, but they've been in a rich vein of form, and they're certainly enjoying their rugby in Tipperary, and they beat a very good Monkstown side well at the weekend.
Yeah, 100%. And look, I agree with you. They look like the best team in the division. You even look at their bare form for all at the moment. They go to Thomond to pick up 5 points. They play Monkstown, who are in top 4 as well, pick up 5 points. Picked up 6 a losing bonus point, try bonus point away to Bective, and then beat Bective at home. At the moment, I certainly think they're the best team in the division. I think if there wasn't a semi-finals, they probably win the league. Looking at their fixtures, they've Belfast Harlequins at home, Malahide away, Dolphin home, Ballyclare away. So that's a good chunk of the bottom half of the table. I think that they'd probably see out the league from here now, but unfortunately, it was voted another way. But the route to the 2C title will probably run through Clonmel, I would imagine.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see Monkstown still hold on to 4th position. They're 6 points ahead of Dolphin, who won 22 points to 3 over Bruff on Saturday afternoon at Virgin Media Park. Carl Waterman, Finn Cowhig, Dalton O'Shaughnessy, the try scores for Dolphin. Paul Collins with a sole penalty for Bruff. An incredibly difficult couple of weeks, Moss, for Bruff, with the untimely loss of Jack Freeney. And it was said to me by a couple of Bruff players that Dolphin were remarkably respectful and very, very welcoming in such difficult circumstances, aside from the 80 minutes of the game where they won 22 points to 3. But yeah, it was great to see the hospitality they received, and they wanted to make sure that we got that mentioned tonight. But to the game itself, 22 points to 3 for Dolphin means that they're 6 points behind Monkstown. Bruff are now 7 points behind Monkstown. There is, like Division 2B and 2A, there is plenty of room for manoeuvre with 4 games to go in that 4th place. And with little jeopardy for the likes of Dolphin and Bruff looking below them, they'll certainly enjoy the run in here, because they've got nothing to lose going for those playoffs.
Yeah, 100%. And look, I suppose, go back to your first point there, that's what the AIL is all about, in terms of the hospitality and them clubs looking after each other. So fair play to Dolphin for that. In terms of Yeah, the game itself, it's a big win for Dolphin. Obviously, difficult time for Brough, but that I see Monkstown obviously not picking up anything at Clonmel. The host Bective this weekend now, and I look at that game now, and I said a couple of weeks ago I thought the top four was pretty set. You look at Dolphin 6 points behind Monkstown and Brough 7 points. If Monkstown don't pick up a victory this weekend at home to Bective, all of a sudden all bets are off there between.
Grass pitch, is it?
It is a grass pitch,
no problem.
yeah. Well, Monk's home form is actually is decent in fairness, but the pressure is now certainly on. In terms of they play Bective, they play Brough then as well in round 17. Now it is at home as well, but if Brough go up there with a sniff of overtaking Monkstown, it'll be very interesting finish to the season for that fourth spot. I think between those three teams. And look, Thomond are probably, I'm not just saying it because I'm biased, but they're 6 points further ahead. They're probably pretty secure in those playoffs, I'd say.
Indeed, they are. Plenty of rugby to be played, and with Dolphin in 5th and 6th, they will have a right rattle at the top four. At the bottom of the table, Middleton had a stunning away win, 24 points to 15 against Malahide yesterday. Rode Malahide's try scores James McKeown and Dan Hayes, Sean Busteed, Ted Coleman, and Aaron Leahy, the try scores for Middleton. They led 21 points to 10 at half time, Moss, and 24-15. No doubt that was a tight, tense and nervy affair. Malahide now 7 points behind Belfast Harlequins with 4 games to go. Middleton 5 points ahead of Quinns and 4 points behind Ballyclare. So breathing space is the wrong thing. They roll into round 15 this weekend, knowing that another win will move them towards safety after what has been a difficult couple of weeks. But for Malahide, obviously a heavy defeat against Bective in the rescheduled game in Bective, and now a loss at home where they didn't pick up a losing bonus point. Malahide will need to get wins and fast if they are to stay a senior club.
Yeah, massive win for Middleton. Absolutely huge. Look, a massive 2 weeks for them. We see this at this time of the year at the bottom half of the divisions. You go back-to-back weeks with Belfast Harlequins and Malahide, let's be honest about it, both 5-pointers each or 8-pointers, whichever way you want to swing it if you're not including bonus points. And Middleton go back-to-back and they pick up 9 points from those 2 games, and all of a sudden their predicament is looking a whole lot more manageable, and it's in their own hands, I suppose, is the key to it. Look, in terms of Malahide, it's an awkward one in this division, but you're 7 points behind. And the problem for Malahide is they play Belfast Harlequins away in round 17, but their other 3 games are teams who are in the top 4 and chasing to get, chasing to try and win the league. So if they're going to get out of the predicament they're in, they're going to have to do it the hard way and beat the best teams in the division to do it.
Indeed. Well, plenty of rugby to be played in Division 2C, and the fixtures this weekend, March 7th, see Ballyclare make the journey to Kilballyowen Park to play Brough, Clonmel and Belfast Harlequins in Ardguiha, Middleton Dolphin in a Cork Derby in Towns Park, Monkstown Bective Rangers in Park Avenue, and Thomond Malahide in Liam Fitzgerald Park. Master Races, Clubs and Game of the Week.
Monkstown Bective, and then the second game I've gone down to Cork, Middleton Dolphin. I think it's important both ends of the table.
Yeah, good. Inclusion is one of Morris Hartery's main traits, in all fairness to him. Monkstown Bective, the aberration from Bective last week in the 45-42, I must commend them for playing their part in an 87-point thriller. I hope more of the same this week. The fact that they haven't won on grass, I go to Monkstown. Monkstown obviously will expect a bounce back this week after the loss last week, but Monkstown just about against Bective there. Middleton and Dolphin is a very, very interesting one. Dolphin with a good win against Brough last week. Middleton with a good win themselves on the road against Malahide. It'll be a gritty performance depending on Med Aaron Moss's prediction for weather at the weekend.
It's dry, isn't it?
I think Middleton may may just get the result, but at the same time, Dolphin will have the rise in the top four. But Middleton slight favourites for me there on that front. Moss, who are you taking between Middleton and Dolphin?
What is it at the weekend? Yeah, it's dry at the weekend. Gerald will be fine. I am going to go. I know Middleton are flying, but I think Dolphin are flying as well. I know they lost effective last game out, but they certainly gave them a right scare and well in the match. Other than that, they've beat Monkstown 5 points, Ballyclare 5 points, Brough 4 points. I think Dolphin might beat Middleton, to be honest with you. And in terms of the top of the table, well, top four clash, Bective, Monkstown. It's an interesting one. Monkstown, look, ultimately, I suppose, without being harsh, Monkstown's only loss this year at home is to Clonmel with a try last play of the game. And I know I slag and I joke, but ultimately between their home form and the fact that Bective genuinely their away form has not been great, I'm going to go with Monkstown.
Burkey, all very valid points. Burkey, Middleton or Dolphin in a Cork derby in Towns Park?
Yeah, I'd like to see Middleton try and climb it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, fair point. Do you want to just say you don't like Dolphin or no?
No, Dolphin are favourites, but I suppose, yeah, I'd love to know what's going on with Middleton this year. That after the heights of last year, that they just seem to things aren't going their way this year at all. But yeah, I suppose, yeah, back Middleton.
And Monkstown or Bective, bearing in mind that Bective have not won on grass this year and Monkstown have only lost one game in Park Avenue.
Yeah, massive the fucking stories on about Bective.
If you are at games,
Burkey hasn't lost a game before, G with Prez. How many games would you say you've lost? I know you lost the final last year, Burkey.
Oh, that's
how
a
many
dig.
games?
And Musgrave Park?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know.
Not many, I'd say.
Yeah, we'll have to have a look. That is our review.
Two in the last couple of years, I suppose.
Yeah.
Two in the last 4, maybe.
That is our review and preview of Division 2C of the Energia All-Ireland League. If you are at games this weekend, Saturday, March 7th, X and Instagram us photos, points, 0-0s, results, tries, bus journeys, and use the hashtag EnergiaAIL at the Club Scene Pod. Ladies and gents, that is a wrap for Season 8, Episode 15. Many thanks to my co-hosts, Moss and Burkey, and of course to you, the listeners. I've been Darragh Frawley. We've been the Club Scene Podcast, powered by Energia. Get out and support your local teams this weekend.
Left will be the lion's share.